I've just finished a series of visits to a number of my classes where I gave students the chance to ask me anything about anything. As you can imagine, I got so many different sorts of questions about every subject you could imagine. But one question that came up a lot more often than I thought it would was some variation or some version of, what's the meaning of life? What's the purpose of life? Why am I here? Now, if you were to take that question and you were to type it into Google, what you'd find is that different cultures, philosophies, and religions have all sorts of different answers to this question based on whatever it is that they find most important. And it wouldn't surprise you, or at least it shouldn't surprise you, to know that Catholic Christianity, we have an answer to this question as well. As a trade, shipbuilding has been around for a long time. There are records of it more than 5,000 years ago in ancient Egypt when they started building the hulls of ships and putting them together. And down through all these generations, shipbuilding has gotten more sophisticated, more advanced. We build bigger ships, fancier ships, more expensive ships for all sorts of different purposes. Ships are built for travel. Ships are built for war. Ships are built for recreation. One of the things that I find amazing is that even still today, with all the technological advancements that we have, it can still take years to build a particular ship for a particular purpose. Now, I would imagine whether you're building ships today or you're building ships thousands of years ago, there would be an incredible moment of pride when you saw that ship get in the water for the first time and sail away. Because that's what you made the ship for. That's the purpose of the ship. Gardeners who plant a garden plant seeds to see them flourish and to grow into great big plants. Well, they pale in comparison to the value we see in you. I've quoted to many of you before Pope Benedict XVI, who said that each of us is the result of a thought of God. Each of us is willed, loved, and necessary. Now, you might hear that and you might say, fine, he made me, I'm the result of one of his thoughts, but why? What does he want from me? What does he want me here for? And one way to answer that can be found in an old book called the Baltimore Catechism, which says, God made me to know him, to love him, and to serve him in this world, and to be happy with him forever in the next. Well, what does it mean to know God? Well, it's important here to make a distinction between knowing God and knowing about God. Some of you who admire different celebrities, movie stars, or hockey players, or whatever it might be, you might know a lot about them because much of their lives is published on the internet. But even if you've memorized every item in somebody's biography, if you know their Wikipedia page backwards and forwards and you follow all of their social media accounts, it doesn't mean you actually know them. Knowing a person requires that you take time, you spend time with them, that you listen to what they have to say, that you get to know their likes and their dislikes, and you learn to share life with them. What the Baltimore Catechism is saying here is that part of our purpose is to do precisely that with God. Is to spend time with God, to listen to what God has to say, to get to know his likes and his dislikes, and to build a friendship with him. And once you know somebody, that gives you the possibility of loving them. When I talk about what it means to love somebody, it means you reach a point where you choose to put their needs ahead of your own. And in a healthy relationship, you know that they're doing the same thing for you according to their ability. In the context of my marriage, this means that I learn to put my wife's needs, her wants, her likes ahead of my own. Means that sometimes I do things that I wouldn't necessarily want to do, like watch Anne of Green Gables or go to a figure skating event or something like that. But I know that she does the same for me when she pays attention to geeky science fiction shows or hockey games.
5 minutes into overtime in Game 5, and McDavid scores! Game winner! Series winner for Connor McDavid!
When it comes to us and God, it's the same sort of thing. We know that God has loved us first. For God so loved the world that he gave his only son. God is love. And as we get to know him, we learn how to respond to that in kind. And this is where the question shifts a little bit, because if we trust that God actually loves us, if we trust that God knows us as well, then what we can do is we can say, all right, God, what do you want from me? What do you want for my life? And as he asks us to do that, we respond with a wholehearted yes. And in doing so, we find the fullness of the purpose of our lives. We find the reason that we're here. because we know the God who made us. We love the God who has loved us first. And we try and serve him in the small ways and in the big ways. And in much the same way as a ship belongs at sea, a seed is meant to grow, all these other things are meant to fulfill some particular purpose. As we learn to say yes to God, we fulfill our own purpose as well.